Hello, health hackers. Hope everyone's enjoying their time at home and staying healthy. Don't forget that COVID-19 is a respiratory problem by and large. So hope you're staying healthy and still working out, even though that means at home. My first home workout didn't go so well. It was a few weeks ago. My head was hurting. I was sucking wind. I had to take a seat on the curb. I was doing a driveway workout, while Cherry ran past me several times and completed the whole workout. I only completed about 40% of the workout, which really is in reality that's really only 20% of the workout, since all the benefits are at the end of the workout when it's most challenging. This was about 3 weeks ago, around my birthday. That just passed. I love my wife and kids very much. It was just a surreal moment to think back about my birthday and to spend it without friends and family. Normally, I don't drink at all. That's just me. But when this whole social distancing thing started, I was having a drink pretty much every night. Everyone else is doing it, so why not indulge? It was my birthday 2 week period, and at least that was the excuse I was telling myself. Then that workout came. It was a chilly, sunny day. At Cherry's suggestion, really, it was more that she wanted to work out, suited up, and walked out the door. She's a leader by example. I followed her out the door. Well, first I had to run and change first, but then I followed her out the door. We were doing planks, burpees, kettlebell swings, running. Then I gave up, and I did not finish. I can still count on both my hands, so it's been more than 5 times, but I can still count on both my hands how many times I didn't finish a workout. The thought of giving up crosses my mind pretty much every workout. The thought of not finishing crosses my mind. Glad to admit it. And I've been doing CrossFit since 2014. So again, I've not finished a workout less than 10 times. Pretty much every time was because my body gave up. I was likely pushing too hard with a weight that was too heavy. Classic lifting with your ego, lifting with my ego. Looking back, this time was different. And I had the thoughts running through my head about what went wrong. I was asking myself questions around, how was my diet? Was my sleep okay? And I thought about how much I've been drinking. That was my bottom, which is pretty crazy because that was only about 2 weeks into this whole self-isolation thing. That was my bottom. While I was on my hands and knees trying to catch my breath, I vowed no more drinking from that point. I still have a little bit of drink, but I'm not drinking nearly as much as I was then. So fast forward to this week, I redid the exact same workout that humbled me. I completed the whole thing at a reasonable pace, and I even beat Cherry at something for once. On the weekend, while strolling with the kids, we stopped in front of our local Play It Again Sports. It's a sports store, usually for secondhand sports. They were closed because they're non-essential business. They had wisely lined up all of their home gym products in front of the window. And we were in line to go to a store to buy bread from a store. And we noticed all the gym equipment was there. We knew we were short on gym equipment, so good marketing. Cherry called and ordered us more equipment. Not a whole lot of equipment. We just ordered 2 more kettlebells and some exercise bands, and the store owner was, of course, grateful to do some business. Never forget to support your local businesses. One of my biggest takeaways from this period is how grateful I am for Cherry. She is my rock, my partner in all areas of my life. She's my accountability partner. We talk every morning and every night, and at the dinner table. About business in our lives, in our marketing, and in our stock hacking, and our real estate. And thanks to COVID-19, she's unable to take appointments outside the home, so she's home more often and having dinner together as a family. So yeah, here are some updates from our own investing in case anyone's interested in how our investing is going. Our office, the same office that we're calling the Wealth Hacker Hub, and future meetup space for all Stock Hacker Academy students. Hopefully you'll be ready to host our friends and clients as soon as the restrictions are lifted. Hopefully, fingers crossed, that's June. Who knows? And with our real estate, our rental properties, we've only had 2 properties show up two prop tenants out of our 30 tenants not able to pay rent. They let us know in advance. I know we have one tenant who was laid off work as well, but she hasn't said anything about requiring any sort of deferral or anything. But again, we'll play it by ear. The two tenants that couldn't make rent for April, they happen to live in the same property, a house with a legal basement apartment. So we went ahead and deferred that mortgage. Just us, we didn't serve the N4s. That's not what I'm recommending. This is how we do it. We're just big softies. While driving this weekend, so I have a cost saving tip for anyone that's interested. While driving this weekend, I noticed that we had only used about less than half a tank of gas this month. It's now April 15th. So we didn't even use half a tank of gas in 2 weeks, while our other car has not moved from our garage for a couple of weeks. So with all of our appointments moved to online, I went ahead and called my insurance company on the weekend to reduce my insurance to a parked car. I didn't even know they had a term for it because I wasn't driving the car. They actually have insurance for cars that do not move. And they did no problem. I'm probably saving at least half, I think. I think I'm saving $500 for the rest of the year. So I think I'm saving a lot. I probably written down details, but again, I think it's a great cost saving tips for any of you out there who have two vehicle homes. With all this extra time on our hands, with the investing that we're up to, with all this extra time on our hands, Cherry and I are actually still quite busy because we have been spending a lot more time stock hacking. It's something we can do from the comfort of our home, at our desk, from our phone. Quick update: Cherry continues to cream me. It's getting a little bit out of hand. She's either on a weekly basis, she trader versus he trader. She's winning now 4-0 or 5-0. We're gonna have to stop tracking this soon. She's made a couple $1,000s this week already, and that's US dollars. She's very likely to win again this week. Even though I had a great week as well. I had a 4-figure week as well in US dollars. For those who remember Adriano the electrician, he's not working either because, again, not essential service. He's my electrician, and he's making a couple $1,000s a day stock hacking as well. I hope no one minds about me talking about these things, but I think people need to know that there's other opportunities out there to make additional cash flow. I spoke to him on the phone before I did this recording, and he says trading is a lifesaver for him. I asked him, because I enjoy talking to Adriano, he's my paisan. I asked him to think about what life would have been 10 years ago and the virus hit then, and he didn't have his stock hacking skills. Obviously, that would be completely horrible for him and his lifestyle, right? Life wouldn't be so good. Adriano is an incredibly cheery person. He would not have been so cheery to be out of work and not have his investment skills. We were able actually, and then funny enough, we were actually able to convince our skeptical mutual friend, Chris Severies of Hamilton, Ontario. Chris is one of my general contractors, and while he was renovating one of my properties, the house that turned into my Airbnb, Chris hired Adriano to remove the knob and tube from that property. And that's how I met Adriano about 4 years ago. Now, Chris, who was our skeptical friend, is now loving stock hacking too. I talk about real estate investing, but we couldn't convince Chris to buy real estate. I don't know why. He worked on so many properties for me and my friends. And Chris is up, when I spoke to him last week, he was up 21% since he took the class in December. And he does it all from his cell phone. Now, mind you, the market came down around 30%. It's rebounded since, but anyone who started in December, it's unheard of to be up 21% since he started a brand new skill. But that's how we roll. We have something great to share, and we like to share it with all our friends and family. We want them all to have more in their lives, to make more cash flow so they can do more, be more, and give back more to their communities. So Chris is a good guy. I'm really happy for his results. And this is why we are incredibly proud to offer everyone, all you listeners, anyone who wants to learn, Stock Hacker Academy 2.0. It's still an introductory class. And then as a joke, I was talking to friends and clients, with all this Grant Cardone stuff that we did in the last year. I was recently telling some of my friends we should really be called Stock Hacker Academy 10.0, because now we're partnered with Lee Lowell, who is the best-selling author of Get Rich with Options. So we are 10xing the original Stock Hacker Academy, and we're incredibly excited to deliver great results for our students. And he will be teaching his 4 required strategies for everyone to know how to maximize your return on your investments after we hit the bottom of the stock market. If you don't know how to time the bottom of the stock market, that's okay. Or if you don't know what stocks to pick, or how to do these trades, or how to use the software, how to use the mobile app that we all use, that's okay. We're covering it all as part of this program. It is a 12-month program. And if you don't know what you're doing, that's okay. Students will receive Lee Lowell, he's been writing a newsletter for the last 15 years. It's written in plain English. It has detailed instructions on his trades so that anyone can stock hack like an ex-floor trader of the New York Mercantile Exchange on Wall Street in the financial capital of the world. Yeah, Lee did that. Ex-floor trader for 7 years, and he's been full-time trading for about 30 years now. So if you're interested, go to www.stockhackeracademy.ca/special offer. Our special offer ends, it's a discounted price. It ends April 23rd, and the program begins April 25th. Live streamed to you from your home. The plan was to bring Lee to Canada, and we were going to deliver this all in person, but things change, but our goal of teaching more people financial skills doesn't change. It's just how we get there is different. So we're all stuck at home anyways, so you may as well learn how to make money from home. Again, Cherry only started trading about 4 or 5 weeks ago, and she's doing incredibly well, kicking my butt. So anyone can do this. And for all you men out there, hopefully you can get your wives to do this, and they can kick your butts at making money too, because it's not a bad thing to be losing to my wife on her ability to make money. Again, the website is www.stockhackeracademy.ca/special offer. Links in the show notes on my website as always. On to this week's guest, Kathleen Vandenberg. She's got a lot of letters after her name. MBA, CLU, CFP. She's smart, obviously. I think she's great because she's one of the rare certified financial planners who recommends real estate investing, and she owns a fair amount of properties herself too. I forget the number now. I think it's 12, maybe 13. That's a lot of property. I invited Kathleen to come on the show because I wanted to ask her about the advice that she's giving her clients during these historic times. Note that we recorded this podcast on April 2nd, so some things may have changed, and depending on when you're listening to this, things may have changed even more. So Kathleen, so this is how Kathleen describes what she does. I have the best job in the world. This is Kathleen. She has a ton of fun doing it. She specializes in working with individuals and families to improve their monthly cash flow and build significantly greater wealth compared to their current approach. Unlike other wealth strategists, she includes real estate strategies as one of her 6 key components in clients' wealth building plans. She implements a 6-step wealth strategy system with clients, and routinely she's able to create over $1 million of additional income in retirement. Kathleen also happens to be a past student of the Stock Hacker Academy. She describes it as excellent and life-changing. She's recommending it to her friends. She'll be part of Stock Hacker Academy 2.0 as well. She'll talk about her returns, and she made fantastic returns during what is being called a depression. So wait until things are easy and things get back to normal, and I cannot wait to see what kind of returns Kathleen gets then. So without further ado, I give you Kathleen Vandenberg. Hi, Kathleen. What's keeping you busy these days?
Oh, lots of things are keeping me busy. The world seems to be a little bit topsy-turvy right now, so there's lots of problems, and problems create opportunities, and lots of people wanting some financial advice. So yeah, lots of things.
So can you remind the listener what you do for a living?
Sure, I'm a certified financial planner. But just a bit of background, I'm a little bit different in that I am a huge advocate for income properties. Not a huge fan of RSPs. Also have my mortgage license. I use that just really because I want to help control the debt for my clients. So just really a holistic financial planner that's based in my planning is based in economic theory, not financial planning theory.
Mm-hmm. So are your clients concerned these days? What are they calling you asking? What are you advising them? And for the listeners' benefit, today is March 27th. Sorry,
Yeah, I mean,
26th.
Right. I have different types of clients and they're in different situations. So if I have a client that is facing a job loss or worried about a job loss, the advice might be a little bit different. So I am advising that they take advantage of the 6-month mortgage deferral. The reality is it's not going to affect their credit score. It um, it's 3% money. They can do better than 3% with their money long term. And if it helps cushion the blow, even if they're in a good position, I recommend taking advantage of it. If clients are in a good position, we're looking to maybe rebalance their portfolio, go more into equities, or even put more money towards buying right now equities, which I'm not a huge, in my planning practice, a huge
Uh-huh.
stock market advocate or mutual fund advocate.
Uh-huh.
But now, I mean, if it's 30% off, now would be a good time to put in, let's say, a 50% position.
50% of what?
Well, let's say that, after discussing with the client, it made sense to do an investment loan for 100,000. So maybe we would do 50 now, and then either the market's going to get worse, in which case we would deploy the other 50%, or if it starts to rebound, then we've got a safer buffer, and we would put the other 50% in possibly.
Interesting. Is that how detailed do you get with your clients? Like, for example, a friend of mine, he budgets $10,000 a week because he thinks now is a good time to buy. So he budgets himself $10,000 a week. He picks two of his favorite stocks, $5,000 each, and does that he'll do that for the next couple of weeks.
Right.
Is that something that's a valid strategy for some?
For some, if you've got the cash flow. So if you're not worried about cash flow issues or job loss or income changing,
Right.
then yeah, that might be a smart. Now, in my financial practice, I don't sell stocks at all.
Mm-hmm.
I do sell some mutual funds. I'm not a huge fan of investment funds, but I definitely have some clients with investment funds that have RSPs and liras and stuff like that. So, but if you like stocks and you want to purchase stocks, that's great. I mean, I don't think the likes of Visa or Enbridge or Microsoft are going anywhere soon. So, and they're 30% on sale, so that might make sense. For my own clients within the practice, if we were doing a borrow to invest strategy, we would buy a well-diversified mutual fund. And normally I'm not a fan of mutual funds, but if we can buy them at 30% off or 50% off, a solid US dividend fund or Canadian dividend fund might make a lot of sense for them. And this hasn't happened in like 10, 12 years, right? So think about how you felt in 2008 and what you wished you had done in 2008. And most of my clients can remember that. So, yeah.
So again, listeners, folks, it's today's March 26th, so I don't know when you're going to hear this, so it may sound dated. My feeling is we may see, so 2008, 2009 was about a 50% correction to the stock market. I have a feeling we might get close to that again.
Yeah, I mean, I do too. I think that, and this is just a personal opinion, okay? This is not opinion, like financial planners don't have any magic wand of knowing what the stock market is going to do. Anybody that tells you that they do is delirious, right? They just don't know. But I think they're throwing a lot of money at it. The governments are throwing a lot of money at this to help. They're not going to let us all drown, but eventually we're going to have to pay the piper. So there could be it could be years for us to get out of it, right? It took years to get out of 2008. It's still a good buying opportunity. Nobody wants to talk about, opportunity when other people are dying, but from a strictly financial aspect, this is a huge opportunity.
Hmm. I know. I feel awkward about that. As that I would mean last night. It's like, it's not like the financial crisis. Well, that was a horrible situation too. People were losing their homes. People were losing jobs. This is just as worse, or maybe worse, because this means lives and health. So it feels awkward to me to publicly say these things are opportunity.
Absolutely. It's a little bit sickening, but I have a fiduciary duty to advise clients on what they should be doing.
Hmm. Hmm.
So if something is on sale 50%, if you can buy TD stock, and depending on when you listen to this call, what it's at, you can look at what the dividend rate is. And if you can buy TD stock and earn a 7% or a 10% dividend rate,
Hmm.
that would be a good strategy. Lots of investors are going to lose money. It's those that have the wherewithal to go in to buy when things are down, right?
Hmm.
So I'm trying to separate the medical disaster from the financial disaster
Hmm.
when I
Hmm.
recommend for clients.
The way I was justifying it when I was driving home the other night was, most people who listen to this are likely good people. I like to consider myself a good person. Is,
Mm-hmm.
I feel comfortable believing this is an opportunity because I will do good things with the money that I make. Right? If I make
Yes.
a lot of money, there's going to be a lot of there's a lot of sizable donations that will happen.
Yeah, absolutely. And we all do good things. We provide, in terms of the rental properties, we're providing housing, and it's not like we don't pay our taxes on what we earn and stuff like that. So anyway, it is what it is.
Hmm. Hmm. So you are advising people to defer mortgages, because I think that might be the number one question. Top two between that and how do we survive April 1st, May 1st,
Yes,
possibility of not getting rent.
I'm definitely recommending that people do that. The government is going to throw enough money at it, and even like personally, I am doing it.
Hmm.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure at this point how much it's going to affect me, if my renters are going to be able to continue to pay.
Hmm.
But people with cash and shoring up cash right now is the priority.
Hmm.
I'm looking to, and there's many ways that I'm recommending clients shore up cash. They might want to, do a refinance on their home. They should be checking their whole life policies. I'm a big advocate of whole life policies, especially for emergency money, so they can borrow against their whole life policies now. Um, Even some might even be considering an RSP withdrawal. If you're going to be out of work and you need the money, it's your money, right? And I like to use RSPs as savings tools, not as wealth creation tools.
Hmm.
We generally recommend real estate for wealth creation. But RSPs are good tax tools and good savings tools, and we all need to have a safety net, right, in terms of savings. So the sad part is if you have to withdraw from your RSP right now, it's probably down, right? But when you run the numbers, you're gonna withdraw it when you're retired in a higher tax bracket, or you withdraw it right now in a lower tax bracket. So
Hmm.
if you can, if you've got a tax refund when you contribute it, then you can pay less tax when you take it out. That
Hmm.
would be a smart use of funds, right?
Right.
And it, you know, taking the investment hit is not necessarily a bad strategy if the other option is, funding your lifestyle from a credit card or an unsecured line of credit that has an 8% interest rate or something like that. So these are the things people need to consider.
That's great advice, actually. So for my own situation, we have a refinance we're trying to work on first before we consider doing any sort of deferrals. I think it would look bad if we declare financial distress and ask for a refinance afterwards. So we're gonna do the refi, and then
I'm in exactly the same boat. I did an extension with my CIBC mortgages, but I'm in the middle of not a refinance, but well, I guess it is a refinance on one of my other properties with Scotia. So I'm not going to go to Scotia and claim hardship when I'm trying to,
Mhm.
but I'm going to sort of leave the Scotia. I've got skip a payment options, and in terms of like when my clients work with me, uh, even as a mortgage broker, these are the things that I'm always implementing in plans, right? Liquidity, and I call it LUC, LUC, liquidity, use, and control of your own money. So, for instance, we always recommend getting a 30-year amortization on your mortgage because life's what ifs happen. So, if you had made the mistake of getting a 20-year mortgage, then you would have a much higher payment now in when this disaster hit, right? So what type of mortgage, I always say, what type of mortgage would you rather have if you got sick or disabled or lost a job? Yes, and there's lots of long conversations, right? Hand holding and talking about the economy and whatnot. But I was just saying, like, we always recommend 30-year amortization so that you have this lower payment. Because what type of payment would you like to be stuck with if a spouse passes away or you get sick or an event like this happens? We always recommend having a skip a payment option. We always ask for that. And we always recommend getting a readvanceable mortgage. So like the Scotia step, when you pay down principal, it frees up line of credit room. So anything you can do with your mortgage to give you more flexibility is something. To me, the rate is the least important factor. When I look at 4 or 5 or different mortgage providers, the rates are going to be very, very similar. Even if you're 25 basis points higher, that's really nothing in this low interest rate environment, especially if it's tax deductible. What's more important is my ability to refinance with lower penalties, like a variable rate or a 30-year amortization option or, the skip a payment option, all of those things.
Is skip a payment as simple as clicking something online, or do you have to call in?
I believe you have to call in. I've never done it. Yeah, I've never done it. I think I've done it once, and I called in. So.
Someone mentioned to me today, I'd forgotten about this, the ability to extend your amortization back to the original. So say I've had a mortgage 5 years, I had a 30-year amortization. So
Yeah.
I say today I have 25 years left. I had a friend just re-extend it back to 30 years and lower their payments that way.
Yes. Yeah. That's an option. Is that will they redo financial underwriting when they do that?
I
I'm
hope
not
not,
sure.
because none of us want to pay the legal fees for that sort of thing. So
You don't have
everyone,
to pay legal. You don't have to pay legal fees.
right?
I know that because your amortization is fixed. The question is, will they ask you to provide financials again? So if you've got a job loss, you might not be able to get that option. So,
Mm-hmm.
but I always say, I mean, can you do better than 3% with your money, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So,
I'm guessing they
you
wouldn't
know,
ask for income. We'll have to clarify that for a future episode. I'm guessing no, because you're not asking for more money, right?
right.
And then my first concern was whether or not this is a new contract, and then are there lawyers involved, and then legal
No,
fees.
no, there are. No.
What else are you telling your clients right now? Oh, actually, I have a question I thought about when you're talking. It's kind of like, I wish we all knew this before. So, as a real estate investor, how much expenses should you have saved up
Well,
for,
I've always
for
been
times like
telling,
this?
yeah, I've always been telling people to have 6 months to a year's worth of savings. And I cannot tell you how many people do not heed that warning from me. And I think you actually might be one of them too. You're always like, oh, I could sell a property really quickly if I had to, right? And
That's the worst case.
you don't want to disagree with I don't want to disagree with my clients or people or fight with their opinion, but life's what ifs happened. And yeah, you can sell it, but it might be a fire sale.
Mm-hmm.
And who wants to have to sell things and, at below market value? And
Mm-hmm.
there's going to be, I'm not recommending right now to necessarily to buy real estate. So I've really switched, I think, in the last month, because real
Ooh.
estate is still really high. And whereas the market is off 30%.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe that real estate in the next 6 months, perhaps sooner, there'll be more opportunities.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So there might be a listing that you've been looking at that, just isn't going to cash flow right now. But if it's still in the market in a month, I believe that there'll be some wiggle room on price.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. So,
Yeah, I
but
don't think it'll take long. Anyone who's motivated to sell now, I'm sure they'll start feeling it soon. The die down of showings. I should not use the word die down. The reduced numbers of showings. This should be quite tangible already.
yes, I mean, we were doing a flip project up in Peterborough,
Mm-hmm.
and we listed it 3 weeks ago, and lots of interest, and then buyers just got real scared, and then showings just fell off. So, when you do flips, and I'm not a huge fan of flips either, because when the market turns, you can't sell it.
Mm-hmm.
So I always had a plan B in place.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to keep it. I'm going to rent it, and I'm gonna wait 2 or 3 years probably and sell it, and then hopefully it'll be a win-win because it'll be capital gains then, right? So, but scrambling to get a mortgage. So yeah, but that's the problem with flips. It was still a great buy, made money on the buy, but locked in a lot of money, right? So
Mm-hmm. Any challenges for you getting a mortgage in this climate?
yes, for sure. It's not, well, I'm not going to say it was the climate. It's more my personal circumstances because we
Yeah,
have a lot of properties in our name,
same.
and this flip was strictly in our name. So yeah, and I didn't get 80% loan to value either. What did I get?
Or I'm in the same boat. I got 65% loan to value on my last
I got
property.
60% loan to value. So, but that's enough to yeah, cover the expenses that I put into it. So
Fabulous. So I wanted to ask you, because you mentioned this before about this flip. Now, I hope you don't mind if we rewind back to when you lived in was it Calgary? Or,
right.
yeah. Was that situation different that you didn't want to rent out that property versus selling it?
Honestly, I didn't even consider renting it out at that point. I didn't own a rental. That was the situation that got me into the rental. So just a bit of background, I mean, why I got into real estate investing in the first place. I've always worked in the financial service industries. I was corporately like an investment fund representative, and they moved me out to Calgary, and then they packaged me out. And we bought our house in Calgary where the average days on market were 2, because that was before the idea of holding back offers. They didn't do that. So average days on market was 2,
In the year,
and
Kathleen?
2006.
Okay, yeah. Oil
But then when I
boom,
wanted to
yeah.
sell it, it was 2008.
Not good time,
So it was. Well, what was interesting is that in order to make ends meet, I withdrew $60,000 out of my RSP before the crash. So I was kind of lucky that way. But it took us 9 months to sell that house, and we had bought at the peak, right? So we lost money. In the end, we probably lost about 40,000 on that house. And it's funny because I look, and that house is about the same price now. So 2008, so 12 years later, it hasn't gone up. The Calgary market just hadn't really gone up,
Wow.
or it went up and down again.
So many people touted the
So I'm
Alberta
glad
real
to
estate
be
market
back.
too.
But the piece of advice actually that I would love to share with people
Please.
is just like, so in a rising market, you've got to overbid for houses, right? You got to put in a price over list. In a falling market, you've got to price your house below list because it's a falling knife. So you've got to offer a super sweet deal and be willing to take that super sweet deal. So you're going to have a low price, not in the hoping of creating bidding war, because that's the actual price. Because everybody else is also trying to sell. So if all of a sudden everyone's trying to unload properties and you really need to unload yours, you need to underprice it.
You need to stand out from the crowd based on your price, if that's all you
Yeah.
have to compete on.
Yeah.
How would you compare? So I know you don't have a crystal ball. Nobody does. How would you compare that market, Calgary 2008 to the current market we're looking at in Ontario, March 26, 2020? Do you think it's going to be similar?
I would say it's very similar. Other people are not saying that. Other people are saying this is different because that was a credit crisis and a financial crisis and the
And an oil
banks and
crisis in Edmonton, Alberta. Yeah.
But and people are saying, "Oh, this is different. This is a medical. This is a health issue." But make no mistake, this is going to be a credit crisis, right? This is going to be a cash flow crisis. It and I think it already is. So it's worse in that it's in addition it's also a medical crisis.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Do you think we will be able to still get mortgages like 6 months from now? Like, for example, like the credit markets were frozen. They weren't giving out mortgages back in 2008, 2009 when things were bad.
I do. I think that we've learned some lessons, and I think that the government is going to sort of mandate easy flow of credit and
Mm-hmm.
forced borrowing. I mean, the
Forced borrowing. I like this.
well, they're going to lower the interest rate, so people are going to be enticed to borrow,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And going to make it easier for people to borrow. They're going to want people to borrow.
Mm-hmm.
So in 2008, like in Canada, I don't think we had the same issue where the banks weren't lending because our banks we're well structured in terms of our banking industry.
Mm-hmm.
In the States, they stopped borrowing. There was no credit. There's nothing to lend. So I think in Canada we will be fine. But I've already seen little glimpses of things. Like a friend of mine has a restaurant in Toronto, a Thai restaurant, and she has a working line of credit with a US firm, and she went to go move money and then it's been closed down. It's not available anymore. So that's an example of what can happen.
So this is a small business's line of credit that they lost access
to. Small business line of credit with a US firm.
With a US firm, okay. A US firm in Canada?
I don't know. I don't know. Yeah.
Interesting. So I've seen it mentioned in a couple circles. What are you advising people to do with their HELOC and their unsecured lines of credit? Should they move them to a different bank?
I know in the States. I know in the States that people woke up one morning and they had a $200,000 line of credit and it was gone because there was a credit crunch.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I don't think we never saw that in Canada. I don't think we'll see that in Canada.
Mm-hmm.
I certainly don't think we'll see it for secured lines of credit. So I'm not advising clients to do that, to go and take $10,000 off of your line of credit or your credit card at 8% and not be deploying it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. So I hope I'm not wrong. I could be wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I hope I'm not wrong. But I don't think it's going to go to that.
We have deployed some of our HELOC money, our secured money into the stock market. So
well, at least you deployed it, right?
Oh yeah.
Versus like just going and sitting, like putting the cash under your mattress and paying interest for no reason. So if you're deploying it, that's another thing.
That's actually a good point because I still run into this with people, especially people from the old country, who, especially if they're a bit older and they've been through recessions and they had like hyperinflation times. What do you tell your clients? Has any of your clients actually said like, I have like 60 Rand in the bank. Should I take it all out and stick it under my mattress? Is that good financial advice?
No one's asked me that. If they did, I wouldn't
Your clients are
advise.
obviously progressive. They all own real
Yeah.
estate. So what would
Um,
you say to that person? So actually, it did happen. I was at the bank. I was at my bank branch, and I asked, "Does anyone ask to take out all their money?" He goes, "Yes." Someone took it. Someone from Europe have a certain age group that it's more common with asked to take
yeah,
out
it
all
is.
of their
It is.
cash.
It is, and they've seen things. I'm very worried about inflation, though. I'm
Yes, let's get
very
into that.
very worried. I'm very worried about inflation. I heard Mayor Tory say that he's losing millions of dollars every day because no one's riding the TTC. Right? We want everybody to stay healthy, but that's a fact. So who's going to pay for that, and what's that gonna look like? So there's only two ways to do this. You either tax people, or you print money,
Hmm.
or you do a mix of both.
Hmm.
So you can
Raise the price of
increase the
TTC would be the same thing as taxing people more money.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hmm.
So I mean, if you tax people or increase the fees, that's less money that can be spent at the restaurants, and less money at Starbucks, and less money at the clothing, and less money at the small businesses that are all over the city. So you're prolonging the recession kind of thing.
Hmm.
Now, if you print money, then the value of what you can buy with the money that you have is not as much. And when you print money, the thing that you want to own are real assets and real estate. And I believe that real estate, as a result of this, like when we look back 10 years ago, so what did we see from 2008 to now, 12 years? I believe we're going to see the same thing in terms of real estate prices. I think they're going to go gangbusters. And stocks will rise from this as well, right? Especially the solid names, right? So, but
Oh.
yeah, and I'm not sure what we can sell our properties for will help us buy anymore, but inflation is coming. They're throwing a lot of money at this.
Hmm. Hmm. I was reading, I think, on CNN, just to give context to $2 trillion. So it's $2 trillion stimulus plan. That's half of the annual U.S. budget.
Yeah, I'll confess, I hear these numbers going around and I really don't understand, like as a percentage point, or how it's going to affect people, right? Because I heard that, for instance, in Canada, over two-thirds of the budget are really going to be business credit. So it's not cash that we're getting now, right? They're just going to be, it's deferral of your taxes or business credits. So, but the actual $2,000 a month that they're sending people, that's actual cash. So we'll see. We'll see what the effect is.
Historic times. Do you remember what was done in terms of stimulus? Any sort of stimulus that was back in 2008, 2009? Well, I remember
Well, so
interest rates went to emergency rates. Overnight rate, I believe, was 0.5, the overnight bank rate. Do you remember anything
there's
else?
there's two things that I remember. I remember, first of all, that they introduced like the 40-year mortgage, right? Now, I wouldn't be surprised if they remove the stress test, if they reintroduce like a 40-year mortgage for affordability factors.
Hmm.
I forget how long, don't quote me on this, but that 40-year mortgage was around for what,
That was
two
awesome.
to 5 years, something like that. Yeah. Yeah, I still have one of those, and yeah, it's down to 25 years right now, right?
Uh-huh.
So um, I also remember huge government spending. I remember it up in cottage country. So the place where our cottage is, they got a new rec center, they got a new library, they got a new medical center, and they got a new township office.
Hmm.
That's a lot. That's a lot for a small little town. They spent tons of money on big government infrastructure.
And so again, how do they pay for it? They either tax or they print more money. Combination of both.
Right. And also, what's going to happen is, I mean, I don't think negative interest rates are going to be out of the realm at all. I think there's a 50-50 chance we're going to get that. I wouldn't be surprised at all. But low interest rates are here to stay. They just are. I mean, think about it. If you had a lot of debt and you were in charge of setting the interest rate, would you make it high or would you make it low? So, and I worry about the future. So I worry about RSPs. Like, so when it's time for us to retire, those that have solely done this RSP strategy, or even a pension, they're going to collect this income, but what is it going to be worth because of the inflated dollar, right? So lower purchasing power.
Mm-hmm.
And will the government have be in less of a monetary problem or have more of a monetary problem? They're going to need higher taxes, right? So the tax rate of the money that you withdraw from your RSP at retirement is going to be significantly higher. And if it is, it was the wrong strategy, right? The only way RSPs work is if you're in a lower tax bracket. And I believe that the government will be in a much higher tax bracket. And that's why I don't, and I believe that before this happened. That's why I don't advocate for RSPs.
I would agree. For most people who listen to this podcast, there's a good chance that your income will be higher when you retire than versus the masses. So it works. The RSPs work for something. People who plan on retiring with no income. But again, most people listening to this will likely have very healthy income.
Yeah, I mean, just use it as a savings tool. Use it as a buffer, right? I mean, and again, a lot of your people, your real estate people,
your people. I'm messing.
Your network. A lot of your network, like, you can't even convince them to put, 20,000 into an RSP. But it's not a bad savings tool.
Right.
Right. And everybody should have savings and should have emergency funds. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I love to use whole life. Like the whole life will probably give you about, a tax-free 8% rate of return. And so instead of going into GICs and fixed income at next to nothing, at least I have this and it's my emergency money. Because I always say, like, in retirement, shit's going to happen, right? You're going to be retirement for 20, 30 years. If you don't think another event like this will happen, you're kidding yourselves, right? We had 2008, we have this. There's going to be something. Mm-hmm. It might even be a personal disaster. It might be a family member that you have to help, or high medical bills because of a medical situation. But something's going to happen. So you need to have a pool of money that you can access in retirement, so that you're not forced to sell that real estate property when no one's buying. You're not forced to withdraw from your RSP when it's down. So it's, I think I'm glad, I'm not glad this happened, but this is going to be part of all the conversations moving forward to encourage my clients to really have a 6 to 12 month emergency fund. And hopefully it would be, in a whole life strategy, because I really do love that as a wealth strategy tool. And, even myself, like, I borrowed against my policies to fund this Peterborough flip, knowing that I could just sell it and then I'll be able to put it back. Well, it's not going to quite work out that way, right? So it was my emergency, mm-hmm. and it's an opportunity money. But yeah, this happened, and so
no one saw this coming.
No, except for maybe my husband. He keeps telling me, "How could you not have seen this coming?"
Wait. Was he seeing it the last 12 years, or?
He's worried. He's worried he's not going to get his new snowmobile.
Man, yeah, it'll depend how long this lasts. I was looking at CIBC's report. They think that the recession ends Q2, so June. So we will see. And then my guess is when this is all over and self-isolation's over, the real estate market will go gangbusters. Even like showings will be like 20, 30 people. I'm talking about showings, not open houses.
Yeah. So CIBC is saying a quick out of the recession recovery.
Mm-hmm. Again, they don't know. Their caveat is there's no relapse, right? Oh, please, right. Government, Oh boy, I hope need to do the right things to prevent relapse.
We have to get a vaccine. That's the only thing that's really going to stop, and I believe that it can happen. I mean, there's certain people that for some reason are unaffected, and there's people that have recovered. So they have
Hmm.
something in their bodies that can work with a vaccine. So they're going to have to put money towards that.
Hmm. Hmm. Well, the other thing that they can't stop is just because the spread's been slow to certain areas. For example, South Africa, it's been very slow to get there. But then, what if people from not to pick on South Africa, but any country where it's been slow to get to, and then what about them when they start traveling, and then we'll have another
Yeah,
wave.
these travel restrictions, could be on for a while, right?
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
make no mistake, what has really been driving our real estate prices is immigration.
Hmm.
And if we're not letting immigrants in or suspending it for a year or two, that's going to have an effect.
Hmm.
So, um, but I mean, I am so happy I have my income portfolio because we'll knock on wood, the renters can still pay, the tenants can still pay, but that's passive income working. That's like retirement working. This is a test of whether we can withstand that walk away from your jobs kind of thing.
Hmm.
So
Hmm. I'm glad we got rid of my short-term rental. I was thinking, not enough people. I'm surprised no one's talking about it really. I haven't heard much talk about short-term rentals. But how do you just clean that thing between when you turn over tenants?
I don't know, but I don't think people are even renting them now.
No, I don't think so either.
I have one friend slash client, and they have some properties up in Blue Mountain, and they're Airbnb'd out, right? So, and they're nice, they're nice cash flowing. But if people aren't going to be if there's no conferences up in Blue Mountain,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
there's going to be a huge ripple effect. I
Hmm.
can't see us coming out of this. I think I can see us coming out of it medically, but I'm not sure if I can see the economy pulling out quickly.
Hmm.
I mean, if you take what 20 to 30% of the population that doesn't have a job for a month,
Hmm.
um, those people are probably foregoing restaurants. They're probably foregoing a vacation. They're not going to be buying new snowmobiles this year or any other big ticket items. Like, put off that new car that they wanted, put off that renovation in the house that they wanted.
Hmm.
So I see a massive ripple effect. So I don't see us pulling out of it quicker.
Hmm.
Again, I don't have a crystal ball,
Hmm.
right? So, but I'm sure that the likes of CIBC probably have better source of information, but they're certainly throwing enough money at it. So we'll see.
Hmm. So, Kathleen, you're smart. Can we ask a bit about your own portfolio?
Sure.
What?
What portfolio? Like my investment portfolio
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
or my income portfolio?
What's the difference between the two?
Oh, okay. Well, I guess so my stock portfolio or my investment properties
Let's start with your properties.
or both.
Because, for example, one of the points
Yeah,
I've been
I
drilling
mean we
home is
have
one of the points I've been drilling home with the listeners, and whenever they hear me give an ad, then they hear it. uh, like how many of your properties have a legal basement apartment, a legal apartment, accessory apartment, secondary apartment, basement apartment, and then also what's your plan for future ones?
I have 6 in Lindsay, and then I have 4 in Durham. So I have
Right.
10 duplexes,
Uh-huh.
and then I have like the cottage income property and a condo, and then my personal residence, and then
Hmm.
I have the Peterborough one, which is a single family home. So, I'm not. That's not really something I want to be in my portfolio long term, but it was the backup plan. So.
Hmm. Hmm. And are you advising people to do the same, to do legal suites, make a single family home into a duplex?
Yeah, I mean that's we take on joint venture partners. So we have another business called House Scale Property Management. I really got into that as an extension of my financial planning practice, because when I started recommending investment properties to clients, they could buy homes, they could buy single family homes, and they would cash flow. But as time went on and they got more expensive, they couldn't continue to buy that. And if it was negative cash flow, it would hurt their ability to continue to move forward and get additional financing. And we had started to buy single family homes, which we duplexed.
Mm-hmm.
So as an extension, I have brought on financial planning clients or close personal friends, and we use them to mortgage qualify and to do the down payment. So we have a construction crew, we have electricians, we do all the property management because we have that experience. So they're still making, the clients are making about 15% on their money,
mm-hmm.
And then the goal is after 5 years, nothing's guaranteed, but after 5 years, they've got all their money out, and we've still got a duplex that is, cash flowing and appreciating. So
Mm-hmm.
That is what I'm advising for clients. I think I
Invest
don't
with
do
you.
this personally, really. Well, no, I mean,
I'm teasing.
We focus on Durham, Lindsay, Peterborough.
Mm-hmm.
We don't do Coburg. We would consider Coburg, but I'm an East Ender, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
but I've recommended the likes of BK or Mandy Brenham for people that want something more West End. I don't have a problem with that. So.
Mm-hmm.
They're much bigger than I am too, right? So the most that I can bring on is really 3 properties at a time. I don't have a bigger crew than that. So I'm looking to do, 3 at a time. So
very cool.
But there's lots of clients, there's lots of properties that are duplexable, and there's a big need, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
mm-hmm.
Of course I would like people to do it with me, right? But I mean, it's fine. It's my financial. These are my contacts, right? My contacts work with me, and so it's all relationships too,
Mm-hmm.
right? So
if it's a good investment, then it's a good offer to make.
Yeah, hopefully my sister will stick with me.
Do you have any employees in your real estate business?
Yeah, we brought on one person. He's more self-employed, but
mm-hmm.
he helps to handle the really offloading a lot of my work. So he might do the shopping for the projects, do the tenant vetting, do the lease signing, stuff like that. So yeah, and
cool.
then so I have more like just sort of contractors. So, and he runs it as a business because it's more beneficial for him to run it as a business. So
very cool. And then can I ask about your stocks?
Yes. I mean, again, I don't recommend stocks because I'm not securities licensed. I'm not allowed to, but I did take the options trading course that you ran, which it was excellent. I highly recommend it. It was sort of life changing. So I have been buying stocks personally, even, and I have some of my clients that I recommended that took the course as well. So I decided that I was going to increase the portfolio to 100,000 for January 1st, and that way I could kind of track how much I was making, right? And as things started to fall and my portfolio went down and down and down, because the market's down, like most of my investments are down, or at the peak they were down, let's say 30%. I kept, putting in an extra 10,000, extra 20,000, an extra, right? So kind of doubling down. And I'm actually up 45,000 because as things went down, I kept buying more and more and more, right? So I'm at the point now where, I think I want to hold the course, but I think there might be another fall. So I may consider putting half of it off to the side, sort of just keeping half in. So, but
yeah, I'm scared too. I'm not convinced that the market can handle the emotion that's going to come. Again, it's March 26th. Things are bad, but I think things are going to get a lot worse.
Yeah, I'm not as concerned about the emotion. I'm more concerned about the fact that people are going to need money. So if people are withdrawing from their RSP, or if they have a job loss, or if they purchased on margin, they're going to have to sell. And I also think that this could be like a longer term problem with inflation and whatnot.
Hmm.
So,
Hmm.
but I'm not too concerned about pulling some money out because I think there will be opportunities moving forward. That might be with stocks, it might be with real estate, but I don't know.
Hmm. Oh, and I think Lee Lowell is going to be
Yes,
your lead instructor April
yes,
25th and 26th for the
right.
completely all new Stock Hacker Academy version 2.0.
I
So
will be there. I will
love
be
it.
there. And he's on tonight, right? You're doing a
Yeah, we're doing a it's it's a tough time right now. I feel bad for the people, not you since you're making money, but I feel awful for the people who are losing money. I'm among them. Um, so I wanted
I
people to
was
hear it.
down over 100,000.
Wow.
At one point I was down over 100,000,
Hmm.
right? Because it
Hmm.
kept falling. So I put
Hmm.
100 and then I put 100 in, and then I put like up to 200, and I was still down to 100, right?
Hmm.
So, but
Hmm.
the last 3 days, the market's up, I think 18% or whatnot.
Hmm. Hmm.
But this is, I don't know, in some respects, it's reinforcing my opinion of the stock market it being a bit of a mug's game. And I've always said that. And that's why I like real estate so much. But this
Hmm.
is such a small part of my overall portfolio.
Hmm.
And if you can buy down and, take the options course and, and learn and decide if that's something that you want to do, right?
Hmm.
As a way to augment your income. But
Hmm.
unfortunately, when I got into the options course, it was not like, since it just has not been a normal time, right? But I think moving forward,
Hmm.
that you're going to see more of a normal market moving up slowly, stagnating, moving up sort of slowly.
It's funny because I've had conversations with so many people who didn't fund their account until like more recently, and how excited they are.
And they should be. They should be. They're going to do really well.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was part of the reason why I wanted, uh, like the course was, I wanted the course to be done as soon as we made the decision that we would do it, uh, because I knew this was coming. I didn't think it comes so quick. This correction that we're in,
Right.
it was over 30% from the top. I didn't know it'd be so quick, and that's why I wanted people to have the tools to be able to benefit from it. Because like my friend Brian Zammit was able to retire 2 years after this period, back in 2009, right? Him and his wife were retired by 2011. Like that is what I want for everybody. And yeah, like you lost money, I lost money, but it is a very small percentage of my worth. So,
And I'm sure my real estate portfolio will go down too, but if I'm not
hmm,
being forced to sell it, I'll be fine. And
yeah,
that's why it's so important with real estate that you get cash flowing properties,
hmm,
right?
hmm.
Because
And is there a
I've
better
bought,
way than having duplexes right now?
no, I mean, I was going to mention this, but the other strategy that I don't really do, I have done it once, that people could look at too, is a rent to own strategy. That's
Right,
not a
right.
bad strategy either.
Hmm.
So big shout out to Rachel Oliver. I think she's the kind of the queen of that. So if people wanted to look at that, that's another great cash flowing option if
Hmm.
if a single family home is what you want to do. So
Hmm. Amazing. All right, Kathleen, we're running out of time. Any sort of final thoughts? Actually, I meant to ask you earlier. Where can people read more about whole life, about your real estate company? Anything else you want to promote?
you know what? There's a really good book I'm going to recommend if people want to do it. It's called Living Your Life Insurance. Are you seeing it backwards?
No, that's fine. Yeah, live your life
Living
insurance.
Your Life Insurance,
That's a lot of authors.
the Canadian edition by Kim Butler. It's a great tool. That's a great tool. They can certainly reach out to me. Like most of the major whole life providers have pamphlets and stuff, and even buying it, you can buy it in your corporation. So I know a lot of your network have like real estate corps, so they can buy the whole life in their corp. And so now instead of taking the money out personally, it's paid for through the corp.
Hmm.
And again, still tax free through the capital dividend account. So
Fabulous. Amazing.
have you checked your whole life policy? I know you have it.
Uh, I let my wife handle those things.
Yeah, but check it and see how much cash is there, because that's something you can deploy too into your trading account or whatever.
We borrowed a bunch from our HELOC. We might do more. You know, those dividends look very attractive right now. They were attractive before, but holy cow, they're like 50% higher now.
Yeah.
All right,
I remember
Kathleen.
in 2008, you could buy BMO and get like a 12% dividend rate at one day or something like that. So anyway, thank you very much for the opportunity. Hopefully it's helpful to your network, and I appreciate you inviting me on.
No, thank you, Kathleen. Like these are historic times, so people need to watch their money, watch their cash flow, watch their liquidity. No, all
Yes.
right.
And
Thanks very
hands,
much.
I need to wash their hands too.
For 20
All right,
seconds.
thank you.